Let's start off with the fact that we ended the day on a positive note. To date, though, the NSE has gained around 22%. Just taking a look at what has been driving today's trade, we know that UBA and Flour Mills came out with results.
Yes, those two companies released results. But really, it's for the broader market, it's just a response to the price correction that we've seen over the last few weeks. What's happened is a lot of the focus is beginning to come back into the big large cap banks, basically, as well as the bigger non-financials. We're seeing the interest from investors focusing on those players. The banking sector in particular enjoying a good day today. Four of the most capitalized stocks on the exchange gaining. Only 4 decliners within that sector. 3 of them rescued banks, as well as Skybank being the 4th. And it was not a bad story for other sectors on the exchange. Breweries lifted by Nigerian breweries. PZ also, UAC and Unilever combining to lift the conglomerate sector. Insurance sector was the only one that was quite under a bit of pressure today, but by and large, it was a positive performance. Index was up well over half a percentage point, and it was just a carryover from what we had yesterday.
All right, just taking a look at the equity markets, what do you make of the banking sector at this point in time, and what do you think UBA's earnings reveal for the whole banking sector, given that a lot of banks are still in distressed periods? We know that we have seen massive bailouts as well. We're looking at rights issues. Do you think that we're starting to see a slow recovery in the banking sector in Nigeria?
I think the key word there is slow, because expectations before now have been very high for recovery from the sort of very high levels of provisioning that we had in 2009 in response to the joint CBN and NDIC audit. As a Q1 this year, a lot of investors were really expecting that those results were going to be stellar. But, given all that had happened, I think the banks chose to be cautious, and rightly so. And that's what is still sort of holding back sort of performance that we're seeing. So far, it's been mostly a case of rewriting back provisions that were taken last year back into earnings. That's what's been spurring sort of improvement that we've been seeing. But in terms of lending, we're also seeing a bit of recovery, but it's not going to be a rush job because of the sort of caution, really, like I said, that need to prevail from what we've seen. UBA's results also just sort of, buttress this trend. We saw a very good pre-tax profit, about 12 billion, more than doubling for what it was as last year. But if you look at the top line, we had a bit of a slowdown. 14% decline to about 93 billion is what was reported by the company, which of course compares to the pre-CBN NDIC audit period where there was still a lot of lending going on. And so what we're seeing right now is lending seems to be resuming, but at a bit of a slow pace. But in terms of earnings, those are being boosted by writebacks of provisions that we had before now.
All right, Adeolu, just looking at the volatility that we saw for the month of May, do you think we could see a repeat of that? Also given the fact that, as I mentioned, year to date, we've seen returns of around 22% for the NSE. Do you expect more returns going forward? Is it a great time to buy into equities, or do you think that more volatility is on the cards?
In terms of volatility, casting our mind back to May, the factors then were a bit mixed. We had, like I said, expectations for Q1 results supported by early releases from some of the stronger banks, very positive. And then the non-financials came out. It was not as good as you would expect. Well, we had a sort of resolution also of the leadership in per se. We had expectations begin to heighten that will make progress with the business of governance, and that also will support economic activities in the country. But then further earnings releases also from the rescued banks as well, dampening sentiment. And so far as well, we still seem to be grappling with getting economic activities on the move. So all those combined for the volatility that we had in May, also a bit of the dip in crude oil prices around then, combining as well as the global issues on the global debt crisis basically. And right now in July, those conditions are not exactly the same. but there are still concerns really about, the economy kicking off. As expectations, as has been supported by UBA results, the banking, earnings releases will be an improvement from what they were last year. But again, those are being tempered down by concerns over broader issues like budget implementation, like just the general lack really of a strong drive for economic activity. So yes, it's possible that we see that we're setting into another period of volatility for a while. But notwithstanding, looking at the broader trend from now to the end of the year, we think that a number of factors are key towards what the equity performance will be. One really is the creation of the asset management company. The CBN has come to confirm that bill was not sent to the executive until last Friday. We expect that will begin to rekindle investors' expectations that have basically been anchored around that AMC bill.